Okay, so we're going to pick back up with number 2. So when we do the b squared minus 4ac, we end up with 1521. It's a large number. Again, I tell students all the time, check to make sure to see if that's a perfect square, because a lot of times when I give you the big numbers like that, it's going to be perfect squares. So now we're going to plug into our formula. So we have negative b, so negative 11 plus or minus the square root of 1521 all over 2 times a. So then we split this. Oh, sorry, not yet. Let's go ahead and let's simplify our radical. So this actually becomes 39. So the square root of 1521 is 39. Again, notice that the square root sign is not there anymore. So once you use it, it's gone. So now we have negative 11 plus or minus 39. 39 divided by 10. So we have negative 11 plus 39 divided by 10. And negative 11 minus 39 divided by 10. All right, so then trying to get these answers, negative 11 plus 39 is going to give me 28 over 10, which is 14 over 5. And negative 11 minus 39 gives me negative 50 over 10, which is negative 5. Okay. Also, if you were using your calculator and you did 28 divided by 10 and you got 2.8, that would be acceptable as well. All right, let's skip down to number 5. All right, so again, so our A is 1, our B is 8, and our C is negative 24. All right, so now we're going to plug that in. So B squared, so 8 squared minus 4 times 1, and then times C. All right, so plug that into the calculator exactly how it's written. Notice that the 3 numbers have parentheses around each individual one, so make sure you do that when you're putting that in. This gives me 160. All right, so now I'm going to plug this into my equation. So negative b, negative 8, plus or minus the square root of 160 all over 2 times a. All right, so in this case, 160 is not a perfect square. So what our goal is to find a factor of 160 that is a perfect square, okay? So we have 160. Our perfect squares are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100. Those are the first 10, right? So we want to find the biggest number from this list right here that will divide evenly into 160. Okay, so it takes a little bit of calculator work, but hopefully you can see it right off the bat that 16 times 10 gives us 160, right? So that is one of the factors, and 16 is our largest number there from this list that will divide evenly into there. So what we do is this. We are rewriting this as the square root of 16 times the square root of 10. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 10, I can't simplify, so I leave it. So now I'm going to replace the square root of 160 with 4 radical 10. So it looks like this. Negative 8 plus or minus 4 square root of 10 all over 2. Now, my last step is to simplify, and I'm looking at these 3 numbers. And I think to myself, what can I divide evenly into all 3 of those numbers? So 2 divides evenly into all those. So this would be negative 4 plus or minus 2 radical 10. And 2 for the bottom, 2 divided by 2 is just 1, so I don't really need to write that. So that right there is your final answer. And I have seen stuff like that on the Coyote test. So the stuff is relevant to what you need. All right, let's look at number 6. So again, starting with our A is 12, B is negative 6, and C is negative 15. All right, so we have negative 6 squared minus 4, put that in parentheses, times 12 times negative 15. Again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to make sure that you put stuff in parentheses exactly how I have it written on here. And then when you do problems on your own, that you do the same thing. All right, so this equals 756. Okay. All right, so now we have negative b, but my b is already negative, so it becomes positive. Square root of 756 all over 2 times my a value. All right, so looking at this, we need to simplify the 756. Now this looks like a pretty large number to have to simplify, but we can manage it. So it's just a matter of taking these numbers that are in this list up here and dividing it by 756 and seeing what will divide evenly into it. So I'm going to help you out a little bit, and it's actually 36. Okay, so this breaks up into the square root of 36 times the square root of 21. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 21, I can't simplify, so it stays. So now, instead of writing the square root of 756, I'm writing 6 square root of 21. So I'm simplifying it. It's just like a fraction. You have 4/8. We're simplifying it to 1/2. So this becomes 6 plus or minus 6 radical 21 all over 2 times 12 gives me 24. So I can then look at all three of these numbers, 6, 6, and 24. What can divide evenly into all of those? And that is 6. So we have 1 plus or minus 1 square root of 21 all over 4. And that's your answer. Okay? Again, I know this looks daunting. I know it looks terrifying, but it's really not that bad. Okay? All right, one last example. All right, so A is 1, B is -9, and C is 11. So I'm starting with -9 squared, put that in parentheses, minus 4, 1, and 11. All right, so when we do that, we get at 37. So b squared, or I'm sorry, negative b plus or minus, and our b is already negative, so it becomes 9 plus or minus the square root of 37 all over 2 times 1. Now, 37 is a prime number, meaning only 1 and 37 divide evenly into it. And 1 and 37 does not come from this list up here, this corner. So there's nothing I can do to that. That's as simplified as it can be. So my final answer is 9 plus or minus 37 over 2. And that's your answer. All right, so what I want you guys to do now is I want you to start working on some of these problems on the back. Always come back to the video if you need help. Come and see me, talk to me. But I want to see some effort. I want to see you guys doing some things and seeing what you can get done.